Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and you are welcome to the Shabbat of this morning. And the parasha that we are going to discuss about this morning is called Parshas Metzora. And what is the meaning of the word Metzora? You see, Metzora is a word that is used to do what? To qualify. Is a word that is used to qualify a person that has a sarat. A person that has a sarat is called Metzora. Somebody that is infected with sarat is called Metzora. So that is what we are going to talk about this morning. We are going to talk about this person, this being or this human being that is afflicted with sarat on the day when it's going to be purified. When his sarat has been removed. When the man has been healed. So what is this man going to do? You can't just say, okay, your sarat is healed, then you come back into society. No. It doesn't work that way. There's going to be some ritual that you have to perform for you to come back into the community. Why this ritual? Why? So we're going to talk about that. Even though in our present day world, we can see that we still do the same thing, which I'm going to talk about during the drash, okay, during the message. But I subtitle the parasha of this morning. The subtitle is, how do you free yourself from that which isolates you? How do you free yourself from that which isolates you? Because others, remember that sarat is a disease. It's a skin disease. Please, I'm talking to everybody, those that are watching us online. Sarat is not equivalent to leprosy. No. Sarat and leprosy has nothing to do with one another. I understand that your translation said leprosy. Sarat and leprosy has nothing to do with one another. A sarat is the closest translation will be scale disease. Someone that has a scale disease. That is what is called sarat, not leprosy. Leprosy and sarat has nothing to do with one another. I understand leprosy is a skin disease, but that is not what God is talking about here. Because sarat can afflict a person, sarat can afflict a house, sarat can afflict a cloth. So understand what God is talking about. It is not leprosy, but it's what the closest qualification will be a scale disease. You can Google that. What is the meaning of a scale disease? A scale disease makes the body of the person to be white. It turns the skin white, and you have a scale like that of a fish. You know the fish, like the scale of a fish. Yeah, your skin becomes like that, and everything is white. So so that is what, and the air in that surrounding become white. So that is what we call sarat. That is the closest translation I can give us. Okay, so the subtitle is, how do you free yourself from that which isolates you? Because sarat isolates a person, right? Because when somebody has a sarat, the person is taken out of the community and outside of the community. It goes out. Why that? Because we don't want transmission of that disease in the community. So it is called an isolation. You see, to prevent infection in the community. So what is the purpose of why is this disease sarat? Where does it come from? You see, our sages give us the understanding that sarat actually comes from someone that speaks Gael, that speaks Lashara. See, when you speak Lashara, when you speak Gael, when you speak evil of your brothers, when you speak evil of your sister, when you speak evil of the rabbi, when you speak evil of your brethren, when you speak evil of your children, then you might have sarat. See, we can see that in the Torah that Miriam got sarat because of speaking evil of her brother Moshe Rabbeinu, and God struck her with what? With sarat. So sarat comes as a result of speaking evil, speaking lashara. So we have to be careful of our mouth, of our tongue. You see, many people they kill with their tongue, with their mouth. They don't want to. It is even better for you to take a gun and kill somebody than killing somebody with your mouth, because that's such a killing. You are assassinating, destroying the character of that person before the entire world, which is not true. You see, so this is what God is talking about. If you have an issue with your brother, with your sister, with your children with their parent, you have to come face to face and say, Mama, Papa, my son, my brother, my sister, I don't like what you did. I don't like this or that or that or that. Let it be known. You can settle it among yourself instead of you to go at the back and begin to stab your brother or your sister or your friends or your colleague at the back. It's not good. So God is saying you shall not speak lashon hara, or for lashon hara can cause sarat. And what is the purpose of lashon hara? Lashon hara is to do what? Is to separate people. Because when you speak lashon hara, when you speak evil of your brother, of your sister, of your close friends, you are separating them. You are making them not to be. You are making people not to be friends with that person, because you are assassinating the character of that person. So therefore, God said that how do I say this word? What you want to happen to another person happens to you. So that is why God gives such a people Sarah, so that they also can be isolated from the community. Parashas Metzora outline the way a person, once healed of scale disease, not leprosy, understand, not leprosy, it has nothing to do with leprosy, was brought back to the community. The ritual recounted at the beginning of this parasha may at first glance seem bizarre, seems very strange. What type of ritual is this? The Lord spoke to Moses saying, this shall be the ritual or the law for a scale disease, a person that has a scale disease at the time of his purification. When it is reported to the priest shall go outside the camp. If the priest sees that scale disease person has been healed of scale disease, the priest shall order 2 white birds, a pure bird, cedar wood, crimsons, and hyssop to be brought for the ones to be purified, for the ones who is going to be purified. The priest shall order 1 bird to be slaughtered into an earthen vessel over spring water, and he shall take the live bird along with the cedar wood and the crimson yarn and the hyssop, and dip them together with the live bird in the blood of the bird that was slaughtered over the spring water. He shall then sprinkle the blood 7 times on the one to be purified of the scale disease. When he has thus purified them, he shall release the live bird over the open field. That is Leviticus chapter 14, verse 1 to 7. That is what is the instruction, right? It is specific instruction. It cannot be changed. It is God speaking directly to Moshe Rabbeinu. This is what you have to do to bring back someone who is healed or who has been healed of Sarat. That is the ritual that it has to take place. But the issue now is, what kind of ritual is this? Because nowadays, we don't perform such a ritual, right? Oh, is it somebody has a disease? As I said, instantly go see your doctor. Your doctor, oh, okay, I give you medication. Medication, everything. Even though if your fingernail crack, the only crack, you go to the doctor. The next thing they prescribe medication. Even one of your eyelid goes down, you go to the doctor, medication. Even though if you there is a small thing like this, so as I said, pharmaceutical industry is all about business, money. So we need to understand the understanding of our forefathers. Remember, as I said, that 4,000 years ago, 3,500 years ago, 2,000 years ago, everything that happens to a man, to them, in their mind, in their understanding, is that it has to do with a spiritual problem. Everything is all about spirituality. That is their understanding. You know, our forefathers take everything is all about spiritual. Right? If somebody is born blind, they ask you, oh, the father commits sin or the mama commits sin. That is why the child is born blind. Oh, someone is born without one hand. Oh, the father or the mother commits sin. Somebody is born without leg. Oh, the father and the mama commit sin. It's all is about, you know, they group everything into spirituality. And they don't think maybe there is a genetic problem, not a spiritual problem. For example, I have a knee problem. Does that mean that my father and my mother commit sin when I was born or before I was born? No, because my father has a knee problem. It's a genetic one. We understand that now, right? I understand that back then they don't understand that because they never study the genetics. To them, everything is all about spirituality, and that is an extremism. And in our own world now of the 21st century, we group everything also into physical problem, which is not. It's not everything that is physical. We need to understand that too, so we have to balance them up. It's both spiritual and physical. We need to understand that. Because, yes, some people, you might say, oh, there is no spirituality now. No, there is spirituality. We need to understand that because man is a spiritual being, no matter what we want to say. You have psychological issue, and that is a spiritual one. It's not a physical one. You have a mental thing. You can say, oh, that a mental problem might be a physical one, but it might also be a spiritual one. So I don't want us to go to these two extremes, but to be in the middle to balance things up. Okay? So we saw this ritual that God has commanded Moshe to perform. So we are going to look at each thing that God is commanded, right? God commanded two birds, right? The hyssop, the crimson thread, the red crimson meaning red, the red thread, and you have the earth basin and the spring water. What is the meaning of all these things that God is talking about, right? It's all about symbolism. God is using these symbols to teach us a lesson. Remember, our forefathers, they don't know anything about chemistry. No, I'm not saying they don't know anything about chemistry. They know chemistry, but not as deep as we know it now. All right? Because to them, chemistry is all like magic. And it's what we call magic in those days. That is chemistry. Mixing two chemicals together and you get another one. Oh, magic. But it is chemistry. Back then they don't understand, right? So now we understood them one by one. So we have to explain what are these symbols that God talks about in this parasha. We're going to explain it one by one. Naturally, there are many ways of understanding this ritual. We will examine it from the several points of view. As we do, it will be helpful to remember that the human needs that generated this ritual, the needs to be definitely get rid of that which isolate a person from another a person or from God is still present and functioning in our lives, in our society, in our community, even until this moment. We will use the 4 levels of the Torah study: the simple level, which is the Peshat, the allegorical level, which is the Rames, and the rabbinical level, which is the Drash, and the mystical level, which is the Sud, to understand this text. So let's go to the first level, the Peshat. That is the what? The elementary level, the understanding one. So for every one of us to understand. So we are going to do what? Reinterpreting a pagan ritual. Remember that this ritual was a pagan ritual. It was done in Egypt. Thousands of years. It was done in Mesopotamia, thousands of years. So what is the difference between the one that God is talking about and the one that was done in Egypt, or the one that was done in Mesopotamia in those days? What is the difference? I'm telling you, there is no difference. But there is only one simple difference that we're going to see. What makes it, why God is instituting this. Telling the children of Israel is what they are going to do. But the Egyptians will be doing it, and other people have been doing it too. Remember, as I said, it is reinterpreting a pagan ritual, okay? What in the world is this ritual all about? Let us unpack each symbol and practice outline in the verses above, and it will become very, very clear for each and every one of us. Once a person who suffered from skin disease has been cured, it was considered pure. However, before he could rejoin the community, he had to go through a 3-step purification ritual process. The first step is outlined in the verses that we just studied, in the verses that we just read now. Okay? So, once a person is cured, right? Once a person is cured of a skin disease, of sarat, the person will undergo a purification ritual process. Okay? Don't forget about that. Once a person is cured of a skin disease, I repeat again, of a skin disease, of sarat, once he's cured, he's going to undergo this process. Yaakov Milgrom, in the Anchor Bible, Leviticus chapter 1 to 16, it suggests that this whole ritual is designed to transfer the ritual impurity from the person through the first bird blood and the water, cedar, and hyssop to the live wild bird that will then fly away and carry the impurity with it in a new bowl, which is then broken because it too has absorbed the ritual impurity. The blood of the one bird and living water, that is, water drawn from a moving source such as a river or a spring, are mixed. Why do we need the water? For 2 reasons. This mixture is intensely symbolic of life, since blood and water are the fluid without which life cannot be sustained. Number 2, the blood of one bird will not suffice to conduct the ritual, so it will be diluted with water. Why Mayim Hayim, which means the living water? First, the theme of life is in itself important to this ritual. In addition, the living water moves as living person does, as opposed to lake or to ocean water that relatively stagnant and thus represent a dead person. Okay, I'm going to break them one by one now. Okay, so as I said, remember, this ritual is being carried out also in Egypt. This ritual has been carried out by our forefather in Mesopotamia thousands of years ago. So what is the difference between the one commanded by God, right, to Moshe, and the one that has been done by who? By the Egyptian or by the Mesopotamian? What's the difference? So the difference now is, the Torah said that once the person is being cured, once the person is cured of the sarat, then the person shall undergo this ritual. Okay? But in the case of the Egyptians, or in the case of the Mesopotamian, it is not like that. Their own is the ritual has to be carried out while the person is still being infected. Because in their understanding, they think that it is an evil spirit that is affecting that person. In order to wear off the evil spirit, in order to remove the evil spirit, so they carry out this ritual. But in the case of the Israel, no. The person has already been cured. Okay, that is the difference. The person has already been cured. It's not any evil spirit that is disturbing the person. No. Because, as I said, remember that Sarat is as a result of Lashon Hara. So when a person has, like, when the person speaks Lashon Hara, right, and is being affected with Sarat, and when the person is taken out of the community into outside of the community, the person begins to do what? Inspect. You do your ritual inspect in your heart, in your soul, in your spirit. You say, oh, what I have done is wrong. I have committed a sin. I have done evil against my brother, against my mama, against my father, against my sister, against my colleagues. God, have mercy upon me. God, forgive me my iniquity. God, forgive me my sin. Remove this sarat out of me, out of my body, out of my flesh. I will no longer speak lashon hara anymore. And God will listen, and God will heal that person. It is not any evil spirit that is affecting you. It is you who speak lashon hara with your own mouth. That is the consequence of your action. You see, can you see the difference? So the difference is the Egyptians, right? They do that, or the Mesopotamians, they do that to remove any evil spirit that they think is affecting that person. But God is saying, no, there is not any evil spirit. That person is facing the consequence of his gay speech. That person is facing the consequence of his what? Of his foolish talk. That is what God is telling us. That person has to repent. That person has to make teshuvah. That person has to come and say, God, I am sorry. I will no longer do that. And once you come and say you will no longer do that, God will cure you. And once you are cured, then the ritual can take place. Not why you are still impure. No. It is once you are cured and the person is the Torah says, and once the person is cured and the Kohen will come, go outside and see that the person has been healed, then the ritual can take place. So that is the peshat, which means the elementary, the surface interpretation. So let's go to the rames now, understanding. That is reinterpreting the reinterpretation. Reinterpreting the reinterpretation. A commentator saw the condition of the skin diseased person and the ritual of the purification as allegorical. To them, it is an allegorical. It's a teaching tool. God is teaching us something through this. Regarding one's moral behavior, Ba Haturim suggests that the cured person is sprinkled with the blood water 7 times because it relates to the 7 sins for which skin disease was thought to come upon a person. And that is number 1, slander. Number 2, shedding of blood. Number 3, vain oath. Number 4, incense. Number 5, arrogant. Number 6, robbery. Number 7, envy. So that is their own understanding. You see, this is an allegorical teaching that we should understand that if we undertook or if we undertake any of these sins, we might have sarat. If we undertake or if we go into committing any of these sins that is mentioned by slandering your brother, your sister, your friends, your colleagues, by shedding of blood, innocent blood, for no reason, that you are not self-defending, you are not defending yourself, but you murder a person. Vain oath, you know that you cannot do it, but you say, oh, I swear, I'm using the name of God, the name of heaven, to swear, and you know that you are lying. You see? By incense, by arrogant, you see, pride. Pride comes before a what? Before a fall. Always proud, pride. Arrogance. See, he's talking about robbery, by stealing what does not belong to you, by taking what is not yours, by envy. You envy your neighbor, your friends for evil, not for good, but for what? For evil. Negative envy. So this is what the teacher here is talking about. Rabbeinu Bachya suggests that the two spices, or the two species of tree that was mentioned here, the tall cedar and the lonely hyssop that grows close to the ground, are used to suggest 2 stages of the person's development. Let's look. This Rabbi Bachya is talking about that. Look at the 2 plants, the 2 species of plant that was mentioned. The cedar. We all know cedar, right? cedar is very giant, tall. And hyssop, I know you know hyssop. Hyssop is a plant. It's a small plant. It doesn't, the highest like maybe 12 inch, something like that. Just small plant. It's a herb. You can drink it like a tea. It's purified, right? So you see the two contrasts. When a man is proud, when a man is arrogant, when a man talks rubbish with his mouth, it's like the cedar. It's pride. It's proud. But God wants to bring that person low. Like what? Like the hyssop. You have to be calm. You see, God despises the arrogant. God despises a proud man. But the lonely man, like the hyssop, God will exalt. When you are like the hyssop, when you mind your business, when you do things that is right and just, when you pursue justice according to what the Torah said, then the Holy One, blessed be He, will exalt you, will bring you up. So this is the rabbi here is giving us the understanding that this is a kind of allegorical teaching, that we should not be arrogant, that we should not be proud, right? We should not be this proud, negative proud. I mean, not the positive one, the negative one. So the negative arrogance, arrogance in any form or shape, we should remove it out of our life, out of our soul, because it has no place in the Torah. The third one is the drash, right? The drash, which means returning to the original concept. We are going to return to the original concept, okay? Which means that, remember, we have the two birds. One bird is killed, right? And his blood taken in an earth basin, taking a water from the spring, right? And we have the crimson, we have hyssop, and we have cedar, all bunched together with the live bird, dig in the blood of the one that is slaughtered, and sprinkle 7 times on the person, and the live bird will let go, representing that the live bird is taking all the impurity of the person that is being purified. Okay, so let's look at the drash part of it. Many of us today, we still engage yearly into rituals, sprinkling similar to the purification ritual outlined in the verse we study, or that we are studying. One in the ceremony called tashli, which means casting away or throwing away. On the afternoon of the first day of Rosh Hashanah, unless it is on Shabbat, many Jews go to a body of water, preferring one that is containing living fish, and symbolically throw their sin away by casting bread into the water. We symbolically transfer our sins to the bread, and the fish eat our sins as it were, and carry them away. In a less direct parallel, but one that still has definite similarity to the ritual in Leviticus. Before Pesach, ones also cleanse and get rid of the living product in their house. Finally, one symbolically search out and collect living with the aid of a bird feathers, like the one that we just talked about in the passage, a wooden spoon like the cedar branch, and a candle. After it has been collected, one nullifies the living, declaring that any hametz, that means living product, that has been overlooked is no longer considered part of one's property. Then one burns the hametz the following day. This is the final preparation before the cedar, and it is symbolic, ridding of oneself of living, which often symbolize sin. So let me break it down. During the festival of Rosh Hashanah, many Jews, most of us, many Jews will practice that. It's a tradition. We go to the stream water or a body of water, especially the one that has fish, right? You take a bread, right? You take a bread, you rub yourself, and you confess your sin in the bread, and you take the bread, you throw it in the water, and the fish will take the bread and eat it. You see, why do we do this? It's because we have the understanding that I confess my sin into the bread, and the fish will eat my sin, and the fish will carry away my sin, right? So it's a kind of a tradition, that they do that. And look at another one during the Pesach, before the Pesach, right? What do? We clean our house out of what? Of hametz, out of the living, because the Torah said no hametz shall be found in your territory, in your house, in your dwelling places. You have to remove all the hametz and get rid of them, right? We search everywhere, we move, we look everywhere, we search everything, we bring all the hametz, right? We bring them in a place, we put fire in it, we do what? We burn it. We burn all the hametz. We don't need them. You say, I don't need, I want to be clean. What are we doing? You see, we're trying to get rid of our sin. But what the Torah is talking about, it said, it's not only these are symbolism. It's a symbolism. Yes, you can get rid of all the hametz in your house and burn them off, but the question is, are you getting rid of the sin in your life? That is my question. That is what I'm asking each and every one of us. It is not only carrying out the symbolism. No. Are you, as a person, as a Torah student, as a student of Moshe Rabbeinu, as a child of God, are you willing to get rid of the sin that is eating your life, the sin that is taking you slave, that is making you a slave to himself? Are you ready to get rid of that sin, not just burning hametz? No. You can burn 1 million, 10 million hametz, but if you remain the same in your sin, what benefit does that to you? No benefit. So God wants us as a person to get rid of that sin in our life. Not putting bread and taking bread, putting it in the water. That's a tradition. I understand that. Putting in the water and the fish will take the bread and eat, and they will eat your sin, right? Okay, maybe after 1 month or 2 months, for example, you come back again and go to the river to fish, and you catch that fish, right? That has eaten the bread of your sin, and you take the fish and you eat it again. That means you are eating your sin again. No? So this is what I am saying. All those are symbolic teaching to teach us what we should do. But what God is asking us as a group, what God is asking us as a community, what God is asking us as an individual is to get rid of that sin in our life. Get rid of them, burn them, remove them, destroy them. They are not good for you. God's saying, so those things that we know that is making us to fall apart, that's making us right to come short of the glory of God, let's remove it out of our life. So the last one now that I want to talk about is the sud, the spiritual one, the understanding, the spiritual understanding. The secret code of Tishli. The secret code of Tashli. According to the Midrash in Takuma Vayera 25, when Abraham was on his way to sacrifice Isaac, Hasatan set a river before him to tempt him to turn back. Abraham waded into the river up to his neck and finally asked God to help him, whereupon the river disappeared. One's explanation for the practice of Tashli is that we go to the river to record this important moment in the Akedah. In the Tashli service, we learn that according to Zohar, a deep river symbolized Bina, which means understanding, the ability to plumb the depth of knowledge, to expand, develop, and draw conclusion. Abraham is portrayed as saying to God, the water of understanding are up to my neck. They threaten to drown my limited human intelligence. Nevertheless, I know that the beginning of wisdom is the fear of God. The book of Psalm chapter 112, verse 10. It says there that the beginning of wisdom is the fear of God. The source of wisdom is not what my mortal mind conceives, nor the overwhelming, compelling logic of Satan. I cannot refute his argument, nor cross his river, because my humanity limits me. But you, God, you are my God, and when all else fails me, I negate my wisdom to your will. That means I give you total control of my will. So this is what he's saying here. That according to the Midrash, when Abraham was about to go and sacrifice Isaac, Isaac, right? That Satan came and made a river before him to do what? To disturb Abraham not to go and sacrifice the son. Because he doesn't want God to bless Abraham, right? Satan played logic in your mind, right? He plays all kinds of trick on your mind just for you not to obey the Holy One, blessed be He. But he said that Abraham disapproved that. Abraham disobeyed that, but Abraham went into the river. He went directly and said, I will do the will of God. According to what God has said, that I will do. Right? All these things might be in his mind. It might not be a physical one. I'm saying it might be a trick that Satan is playing with his mind. Remember that Satan has power. Don't forget that. He has trick. Satan is 6,000 years old more than man. He's older than man. Far. He's not your mate. Satan is not your mate at all. He understood and he knows the nature of man from the beginning to the end. He understands when man was created. He was there. So he knows everything. He's not stupid. So he can play all kinds of trick on your mind. People say, oh, I can play trick on a Satan. It's not your mate. You cannot play trick on him because he knows you before you know yourself. He understands you perfectly well. But Abraham did not succumb to the trick of a Satan. Abraham does not succumb to his trick, but he continued to push down and move, and he moved into the river. And he moved until when the river was up here in his neck. He cried out. He cried loud, oh God, help me. I need your assistance. I need you to come and help me because I want to do your will. I will do your will. Not my will, oh God, but your will. I will do your will. And God came to rescue him, to save him, and he did exactly the will of God. So, what we're saying here is that, yes, the water in our tradition always means bina. Bina means understanding. When men think that they have all the wisdom of the world, oh, I'm a PhD holder. You know what? I'm a professor. I know all the things of atomic science. I know everything, and become proud and pompous. God will bring him down. Forget about the Torah. I can explain to you why this is the reason why. This is the reason why. I can tell you, just as I said, everything that is happening in our world, we have the way to explain it. Everything, it can be explained. But I'm telling you, it's not everything that can be explained. There are some that are spiritual that you cannot explain. There are things that happens in the world that you don't even understand how it happens. So it is not everything that is physical, neither is everything spiritual. As I said, everything has to be balanced. Everything is about spiritual and physical combined. On Rosh Hashanah, when we cast our sin into the water, we can almost imagine ourselves being utterly surrendered by purifying water of deep understanding, much as one is totally immersed in the mikvah. This can be frightening experience, as it must have been to Abraham, or an uplifting one, as the mikvah often is. In either case, when we truly immerse ourselves in the learning and gain deep insight through mystical experience, it quite often changes our life forever, and we emerge on the shore more fully able to perceive God's will and perform it in our life. Once you understand the purpose, once you understand the will of God, once you understand why God is commanding you, why God is telling you to do this and do that, then you'll be able to perform the will of God to the maximum. What God is telling us this morning, the simple message this morning is that we as a person, we as an individual, we as a group, we as a community, we must do what? Keep our mouth. We must be able to use our mouth positively, not negatively, not to destroy our brothers, not to destroy our sister, not to destroy ourselves, because you will face the consequence of your action. And the consequence of Lashon Hara is Sarat. So God is giving us this thought that we should do what? We should avoid things that isolate others. Because if you isolate others, you yourself will be isolated. If we try to speak gay, if we try to speak Lashon Hara to divide people, to separate people, then we can get Sarah that will separate us from the community. So God is giving us this understanding this morning that Metzora is a person with Sarah. A person that is afflicted with Sarah is called a Metzora. And I said, a Sarah does not mean leprosy. No, it has nothing to do with leprosy. Absolutely. It is called the closest translation that you can translate it in English is a scale disease. And a scale disease is when the skin is like a scale of a fish and everything becomes white. So that is what Sarah is. And they can have a Sarah in the house, you can have a Sarah in the clothes. And we can see what the Torah said, that for the person to be purified, the person has to do the ritual that we just talked about. And for them to come inside the community, he has to shave his eyelid, shave his hair, shave all the hair in his body. Why is God recommending that? God is telling us that because you might be healed, maybe the person has immunity now against that disease. And if the person comes in the community without shaving his hair, his eyelid, his beard, all his skin, all the hair in the skin, there might be that parasite, there might be that virus sticking to the beard or to the hair, and you can pass it to another person in the community who doesn't have immunity to that disease. So this is what God is saying. It's all about disease control. It's all about spiritual control, so that you does not pass that sickness to your fellow brother, to your fellow sister, to the member of the community. So this is what God is telling us this morning, that we should be very careful with our mouth, what we say, what comes out our mouth. Our mouth will always be used to do positive things. Always positive, not negative. Parashas Metzora. Shabbat Shalom.